Sigma presented on the Photokina 2 new lenses and a line of new cameras. Starting with a real big one, that's the new lens from Sigma, 150 to 600 millimeter with an aperture of 5.0 to 6.3. The lens is completely sealed, so you can use it in the rain, and there are some details which are very interesting. First, you can change the focal length either by turning the dial at the lens or by shifting. So you have both options and it runs very smooth even if you use it this way, the lens. So this is a real nice combination, turning or moving. And you know, you can usually lock the lens. We have this here to lock the lens, but usually you lock it in the shortest focal distance or short focal length, like 150 millimeter. At this lens you can also lock the lens at 200 or 250 millimeter or more, and if you want to relock, you don't have to use the button here, just turn the dial and so the lens is unlocked and you can take photos with different focal lenses. At the side of the camera we have some switches here, and the good thing is you can customize the camera by yourself. You have an USB connector and software, and so you can customize these settings. You see here you can change the focal distance from infinity or anything else to the different settings, and if you don't want the settings which are here marked on the camera, you can customize this with your software, and so you can customize the distances of the focal lengths of the different settings. Another important point is the optical image stabilizer. The lens is equipped with an optical image stabilizer, but you may know that when you want to follow subjects which are moving from the right to the left side, or you want to make movies, you have to switch off the optical image stabilizer in this direction. It should only work in this direction, because if not, the lens stays at the first point and then whoop, goes faster and follows the subject after a while. So you can switch off this, but the good thing here is you cannot only switch it off in landscape mode, but also in portrait mode. So you can also shoot in portrait mode, only working the stabilizer in this direction. So you have a lot of features you can customize. You have here a switch where you can change the different settings, C1, C2 and off. So you go back to the factory settings there. You have the different positions for the tripod here to fix the lens on the tripod. And as I said before, the lens is completely sealed, so you can use it also outdoor in rain or high humidity. The lens cost about a little bit 2,000 euro, so it's a really good margin for a lens with 150 to 600 millimeter. The same lens you can get a little bit less in quality, a little bit smaller, not sealed, a few functions, and it's like 1,200 to 1,300 euro, a little bit cheaper, but also the same focal length, 150 to 300 millimeter. For this lens, they have also two telephoto converters, 2.0, 1.4. They only fit exactly to this lens, so you can't use this one for another lens. They are only for the new 150 to 600 millimeter lens. The lens is suitable for Nikon and Canon cameras, maybe a little bit later also for Sony, but by now only for Nikon and Canon DSLRs. The second lens is a super zoom lens from 18 to 300 millimeter. It's a nice travel lens, fairly good quality, so this is a new one from Sigma for travel shooting, all day shooting, super zoom lens. The second part from Sigma or a line of cameras. Sigma says they sell lenses with a camera behind, and these are the series DP1, the DP2 is missing now, and the DP3, 19mm, 30mm the DP2, and 50mm the DP3. The new thing is the sensor. You may know the Foveon sensor, and they changed a little bit the system of the Foveon sensor now. You have 3 layers of sensor. The first layer has 20 megapixel, and this one is for details. It's only for the fine details, and the second and third layer are for the color and the brightness of the camera, and they all combine together to real high resolution, detailed and extreme sharp picture. And the good thing, so you have the information of the details and the information of the color separately. You can change the color very good, and you can change from color to black and white using filters like electronic filter, yellow or red filter, because you have the extra information of the colors and can separate these very good to black and white. So these are the new 3 cameras, DP1, DP2 and DP3. I'm very interested to check how the picture quality is compared to a full frame sensor like the Sony Alpha 7R or the Nikon D810. So these are the new things: the big lens 150 to 600 mm, the smaller 18 to 300, and the line of cameras 19 mm, 30 mm and 50 mm APS-C sensor, the new Foveon sensor. One of my Photokina highlights presented Samsung with the mirrorless camera NX1. The NX1 is a real new camera. It's fitted for pros and ambitious amateurs. The camera is equipped with a 28 megapixel APS-C sensor, and it's not a little bit more than the other APS-C sensor cameras with 24 megapixels, but it's also a new sensor talking about focus systems. We have the contrast autofocus, that's usual for mirrorless cameras, but we also have the face detection autofocus. And the good thing with the Samsung is the pixels for the face detection are not only in the middle of the camera, but they are almost over the whole sensor. So we have the fast face detection system and the little bit slower but also accurate contrast autofocus combined over the whole, not the whole, but almost the sensor field. And so the camera is real fast. You can use it for sports photography because the autofocus is fast enough to track the objects which are coming towards you or running away from you or going away from you. So the new autofocus of the NX1 seems to be a real good and fast autofocus. Coming to the next topics of the camera has a new engine, a new faster processor, so we can go up to 15 frames per second. That's the highest speed a camera in this class has. Coming to the next points, we have a turnable monitor on the back side of the camera, and as you know, for Samsung, the turnable monitor is a touchscreen monitor, high resolution monitor, so you can work very fast in the menus. You have the autofocus setting, which you can use also on the touchscreen. We can go to the menu. Here we are on the menu. You see we have the touchscreen options here, so you can set up the menu and the different settings of the camera very fast. Next point is the electronic viewfinder. We have OLED electronic viewfinder with 2.4 pixel resolution, and this gives you a real clear, crisp, sharp picture. If I would compare it to an optical viewfinder, I would say there's almost no difference between the optical viewfinder and an electronic viewfinder. The advantage of the electronic viewfinder, you can see all the camera settings in the viewfinder, you have the menus in the viewfinder, so even under bright light conditions, you can change the settings very easy in the viewfinder. One of the most important things with the newer cameras is video, and yes, for sure, the NX1 has full HD video, but on top of full HD video, we have 4K video. Yes, we have 4K video, we have the HDMI output where you can set up an external monitor, so the camera is suited for professional 4K videos and full HD movies. That's a real big step for a camera like this. Coming to the layout of the camera, it's for professional photographers who want the most important functions in direct access. So on the left side, we have this button here where you can change the white balance, ISO setting, metering and stuff like this. So one button press and you change it with one of the dials of the camera. Here we have the different speeds, single, high speed and self-timer and bracketing function. And on the right side we have the big program dial with the different settings. Here we also have custom 1 and custom 2 and a second display where you can see the most important settings of the camera. One also important thing for the pros, the body is sealed against dust and water, so it's a real rough body. And a real important thing Samsung give with the NX1, that's the external battery or the portrait battery grip. You have an extra battery compartment here, and for portrait shooting this is very comfortable, a real big step for pros because they need this extra grip for sure. We have lots of dials, lots of direct buttons. As I said, we have a dial here at the shutter release, second dial on the back side, and a third dial here around the 4-way button. And plus we have the eye function here at the lens. If you press the eye function button, you can make different settings very easy with the dials on the back side. Here you can see I can change the settings with this dial, and with this dial I can change between the different topics of the settings. So that's very easy to work and very easy to make the different settings with this camera, and for pros very important to make the settings real fast. On top of all these, we have a Wi-Fi module built in, a very fast Wi-Fi module, so you can transmit the pictures to computers, laptops, to your smart devices in a very fast speed. And that's not enough, we also have a Bluetooth module in the camera, so you have also the opportunity, if you don't want to work with WLAN or with Wi-Fi, you can go over the Bluetooth model. The camera is suited for pros and ambition amateurs because it's a real nice package, a complete package. Yeah, and I hope that the picture quality, ISO 51200 is the highest ISO setting, the picture quality will be real good. One thing Samsung did, they did a partial noise reduction. So they check the picture, and if they have the blue sky, they give a little bit more noise reduction, so you have a clear blue sky. And if you have people in the foreground, structures in the foreground, the noise reduction is a little bit less. So you get the sharpness, you get the details, and the noise reduction only works in the upper part in the sky. So I'm very interested to see the first test pictures of the NX1. So this is the NX1, 28 megapixel APS-C sensor, turnable monitor, OLED viewfinder, 15 frames per second, and 4K video. Today is the highlight day of the Photokina, because one of the next highlights, that's the Lytro Lightfield-Camera. To explain what light field means, I have to explain what a normal CMOS sensor makes. A normal CMOS sensor saves the brightness and the color of a certain point in the subject. So when you look at the picture, you have a point where the picture is sharp, and you have a point where the picture gets unsharp. So that's the area, the depth of field area. And you can't change the depth of field after you have taken the picture. It's fixed and there's no possibility to change. The Lightfield-Camera makes a difference, because the Lightfield-Camera doesn't only save the brightness and the color, but also the direction and the distance of a certain subject or object. So you have the opportunity to look at the picture and see where the point of sharpness is, and you can change the point of sharpness. You can move it forward and backward. Here's a good example how this will work. Here you see the pancake, which is sharp, and exactly the same picture. I only move the mouse to the blueberries, and you see the sharpness is in the background. And so I can do it with orange juice or the peaches in the background. And so you have the possibility to set the focus point after you have taken the picture. You can change the focus point on the whole scene. Going back to the pancakes. The camera has a 40 megapixel light ray sensor, and the light ray sensor saves, as I said, the direction and the distance of the light. So you don't have only the opportunity to change the focus point, but you also can make a 3D picture, because you know exactly the distance of the light and you know exactly the position of the light. And so you can move the point a little bit to the left or the right for the distance of the eye, and so you can get a 3D picture out of one picture. You don't need two lenses, two sensors. You can do this with the Lytro light field camera. When you want to take a picture, you still have a depth of field. It's not infinity, but it's very easy to check how the depth of field is, because here's a button at the camera. When you press the button, now it's not a good picture to explain it, but when you press the button, you see where the orange and the blue part is, and between the orange and the blue part, this is the area where you can set the focus point after you have taken the picture. So you know exactly before you take the picture where you can set the focus point afterwards on the computer. The light field camera is an extra for photographers. It's not you have a DSLR or you have a mirrorless APS-C camera. You should take this one, because you have the pictures, the high quality, the detailed pictures, but the Lytro gives you an extra. It gives you the chance to interact with your customer, because your customer can change the setting of the picture, not the setting, but can change the outfit of the picture, and that's an extra which you can give your customer with a Lytro light field camera. The 40 mega arrays is not the resolution, the final resolution in JPEG. The final resolution in TIFF or JPEG is about between 5 and 4 megapixel, so that's absolutely enough if you want to show the picture on a computer. You don't need more to show the picture on a computer. When you publish your pictures, in the picture or behind the picture is the software, so each customer can work with this depth of field change and focal point change by himself. You don't need to load down an extra software, so it's embedded in the picture or behind the picture, so everybody can do this. So this is one of my highlights of the Photokina, the Lytro light field camera.